Which conference has benefited the most from NIL? The answer might surprise you. My company, Open Doors, helps schools across the country maximize NIL opportunities for their athletes, and our partners in this one conference are standing out from the competition. It's the Big East. Why the Big East? No football. Outside of UConn, no Big East teams sponsor an FBS football team. Why does that matter? Well, it makes it way easier to fund NIL efforts. Here's some stats for you. Across the country, 80% of all NIL dollars come from what's called collectives. These are groups of boosters that pool their efforts, try to get dollars to athletes on their campus. And 60% of those dollars across the country go to football players. Why does so much NIL dollars go to football? Well, it's simple math. There's 85 scholarship players on a football team. So let's say you want to get each athlete $100,000 a year to be competitive. That's $8.5 million a year. NIL collectives have to fundraise to get those football players paid. Compared to basketball, there's 13 scholarship players on a basketball team. So funding each of them at $100,000 a year is $1.3 million a year. So when a school doesn't have football, there's less stress on the boosters to fundraise 8 figures a year. In fact, the annual NIL funding it takes to be competitive in football at the high level, let's say $8.5, $9 million a year, is enough to fund a basketball team for 6 or 7 years. When you're in a conference without football, the dollars can flow to hoops, and your hoops team should be able to recruit and retain talent because of that dollar flow. So back to the Big East. In the Big East, 95% of all NIL dollars go to men's and women's basketball players. 95%. So with NIL all concentrated on hoops, that leads to the ability to recruit and retain top talent. And that top talent retention and recruiting has led to success on the court. On the men's side, 7 out of 11 Big East schools should be in the men's NCAA tournament this year. On the women's side, 4 out of 11 Big East schools will be in the tournament this year. So the success is there on the court. But NIL is not the only reason the Big East is having success in basketball. The Big East has had some ballers for a while. Let's go back a little bit. Since 2013, the Big East has won 4 out of 10 men's national championships and 4 out of 10 women's national championships. So the Big East have been ballers on the basketball court over the last 10 years. But why do I go back to 2013? In 2013, the Big East made a big time hire that would set them down this path. Let me tell you about it. In 2013, the Big East named Val Ackerman commissioner of the newly restructured conference. And that was a big deal. Why is that a big deal? Let me tell you 2 things about Val Ackerman. One, Val Ackerman is extremely accomplished in the basketball realm. She's in the New Jersey High School Basketball Hall of Fame. She started all 4 years at Virginia on the women's basketball team. She was one of the first players to ever get a scholarship, women's players. She's in the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame. After law school, she became special assistant to NBA Commissioner David Stern. In 1996, she was named president of the WNBA. In 2005, she took over USA Basketball. Oh, she's in the Basketball Hall of Fame too, recognized for her success in leading men's and women's basketball throughout the years. And the Big East named her commissioner in 2013, and she can run the conference ever since. 2, Val Ackerman is widely respected across the NCAA. She's on multiple committees throughout the NCAA, the competition committee, the honors committee, but none more important than the NCAA's federal and state legislation working group. Like, why does that working group matter? That's the group tasked with doing all things NIL at the NCAA. So Val Ackerman, for the last 5 years, has been co-chairing the working group as it relates to NIL at the NCAA. So she is in the weeds. Nobody's deeper in the weeds at the NCAA and across the commissioner landscape in NIL than Val Ackerman. I've had a chance to work with Val on these working groups over the years and share a lot of conversations, and she totally gets this space. So Commissioner Val Ackerman understands NIL better than most. She understands basketball better than dang near anyone. And so she's combined those 2 things to help the Big East succeed in the NIL era. So when I'm asked which conference has benefited the most from NIL, it's hard not to say the Big East. Without football, a lot of the dollars are focused on college hoops, where they're having a lot of success in the court. And with great leadership, all of the teams in the conference are staying ahead of the competition.